morning students. Hope you are all fine. Today we are going to see chapter 9, the living organisms and their surrounding in grade 6 science NCERT book. In our last class we discussed about habitat, components of habitats and then types of habitat. These all are we already discussed in our last class. Now we are going to revise these three topics and then we are going to see today's topics. Students, on the earth we can find living organisms everywhere, isn't it? Yes, they can live on the high mountains and inside the deep oceans too. Not only the human but all other animals like insects, reptiles, microorganisms, these all are come in the category of living organisms. Living organisms live in different places and change themselves according to the climate. Listen. Living organisms live in different places and change themselves according to the climate. That one we call it as a adaptation. All living organisms have their particular environment. All the living organisms have their particular environment. They get adapted according to that environment. So, they get adapted according to that environment. Our environment is made of both living and non-living components. All organisms need food, air, water and soil for their surrounding to survive. These components are the essential part of our surroundings and we cannot live without these. What are that? Yes, air, water, soil and food. Everything that surrounds the living things and also affects their growth and development is called environment. Listen this one. Everything that surrounds the living things and also affects their growth and development is called environment. First we'll see habitat. What is habitat? Yes, the natural surrounding where a living organism lives is called its habitat. The natural surroundings where a living organism lives is called its habitat. What is it? The natural surroundings where a living organism lives is called habitat. Next we'll see types of habitat. Living things live on land, in water or on the trees. Based on this, we classified into two types. One is a terrestrial habitat, another one is an aquatic habitat. First we'll see terrestrial habitat. Land provides the best living condition to the living organisms because of the great difference in temperature and availability of water. Due to this reason, the large variety of organisms are found on land. Isn't it? Depending upon the living condition, terrestrial habitats can be classified into few more types. See this picture. Desert, grassland, forest and mountain. These are the types of terrestrial habitat. Desert habitat, grassland habitat, forest habitats and mountain habitats. These are the types of habitat. First one, desert habitat. This one is hot and dry because they get very little amount of water. The organisms living in such habitats are camel, rat, snake and cactus. Next one, grassland habitat. This one is get moderate rain. The organisms living here are deer, lion, zebra, giraffe and grasses. And next one, forest habitats. It's are generally hot and wet and get plenty of rain. The organisms live in such habitats are monkey, snakes, tigers and large variety of trees. And then mountain habitats. This one is cold and windy. Snowfalls also takes place in this higher mountains. Snowfalls also takes place in it. Goats, yak, sheep and pine trees or we can see in this mountain habitats. Next one, components of habitats. Components of habitat. Habitat contains of two main components. Biotic and abiotic components. What is biotic components? Yes, all living organisms including plants and animals come under the category of biotic or living components. Biotic components means that one is a living components. So what are the living components? Plants and animals. Next one, non-living or abiotic components. These include air, water, soil, sunlight, temperature and etc. These components affect the living organisms found in the area. The habitat contains the both biotic and abiotic components. The biotic components are living organisms and the abiotic components are air, water, light, soil, temperature, these all. In a habitat, all biotic and abiotic components continuously interact each other. It brings balance in habitat and different types of organisms. Next we'll see adaptations. Adaptations are those structural and functional changes in an organism that help in living well and successfully in the particular habitat or surrounding. The specific features or habitat which enable a plant or an animal to live in a habitat are called adaptation. First we'll see adaptation for desert habitats. We know that in desert there is a scarcity of water and the climate is too hot and dry. Some living organisms have adapted to live in such hot and dry conditions. First we'll see adaptation in plants. In desert, we all know that temperature is too high. So the organisms that found their adapt themselves for their survival in the type of that environment. Mostly the plants that grow there have long roots that go deep inside the soil in the search of water. Why these all the roots are grow long and go deep inside the soil is to get the water and search the water. First we'll see cactus. See this picture. This one is a cactus plant. This one is a cactus plant. Leaves are absent in this plant. There is no leaves in it. Very small or reduced to spine. So the leaves, if the leaves are present in this type of plants, means they are very small or reduced to spines. This helps to reduce water loss. How it reduce the water loss? Yes. If there is a leaves, means through that leaves the transpiration takes place. So avoiding that one, the leaves are modified into spines. The leaves are modified into spines. So spines to prevent loss of water. Spines to prevent loss of water. Next one, stem. Stem is a green and it's prepare food for the plants. We know mostly all the plants are prepare their food in the leaves. In cactus plant there is no leaves. So the stem is prepare food for the plants. Why the stem prepare the food for the plants? Because the chlorophyll, that green pigment, is present in it. Stem contain that green pigment, that one we call it as a chlorophyll, it's present in it. So chlorophyll also one main thing to prepare a food. So here stem is a food factory of the plant in a cactus, because the stem prepare food for the plants. Photosynthesis occurs in stems. Photosynthesis occurs in stems. Stem becomes spongy to store water. The stems are very spongy. Why? Because that one store the water in it. Stem is covered with a thick waxy layer. Stems is covered with a thick waxy layer. This helps in retaining water inside the plant body. So that waxy layer helps in retaining water inside the plant body. Root systems goes deep into the soil for absorbing water. Root system goes deep into the soil for absorbing water. So leaves are absent in this kind of plants, and this one, so the leaves are modified to spines. This help to reduce water loss. And stem is prepares food for the plant. Photosynthesis occurs in a stem. In cactus plant, roots are very long because the sandy soil cannot hold water. So that water is stored at the very low level below the ground. So this one have a very long root to absorb water in the deep into the soil. And stems are very spongy or fleshy stems that store water and thick waxy layer that helps to retain water. Next one, leaves. The leaves are modified into spines. This one prevent the transpiration in plant. These spines are protect these plants from the animals which feeding on them. Next one, adaptation in animals. Living organisms that are found in such a hot and dry environment adapt themselves according to that surrounding. So let's study the adaptation in organism living in the desert. First we'll see about camel. A camel has a long legs which help to keep the upper part of the body away from the heat of the sand on the ground. So why it has a long leg? The long legs help to keep the upper part of the body away from the heat of the land or ground. Simply we can tell camels have a long legs to stay away from the heat of the sand. So this one keep the camels away from the heat of the sand. They can drink a large amount of water at a time and can stay without water for a long periods of time. After drinking water, it can live for many days without water. After drinking water, it can live for many days without water. It excretes a small amount of urine and its dung is dry. It does not sweat. Camels have a long hump on their back to store fat. They have a hump on a back to store fat. Its feet have thick pads which protect it from the hot desert sand. Camel has long eyelashes which do not allow flying sand to reach its eye in a sandstorm. It has a long eyelashes which do not allow flying sand to reach its eyes in a sandstorm. Student, do you know one thing? Camel can close its nostril. Nostril means that nose open is there, no? That one we call it as a nostril. So it can close its nostrils so that sand does not enter the respiratory system during a sandstorm. Camel can close its nostrils so that sand does not enter the respiratory system during a sandstorm. Fat gets stored in its hump. Camels have long legs to stay away from the heat of the sand. Camels have a long legs to stay away from the heat of the sand. After drinking water, once it can live for many days without water. After drinking water, it can live for many days without water. They can drink large amount of water at a time. And can stay without water for a long periods or long days. Excretes a small amount of urine and its dung is dry. It does not sweat. Camel does not sweat. Its feet have a thick pads which protect it from a hot desert sand. The feet have a thick pads which protect it from hot desert sand. And camel has a long eyelashes which do not allow sand to reach its eye in a sandstorm. And camel can close its nostrils so that the sand does not enter the respiratory system during a sandstorm. Camels have a hump on their back to store fats. Camels have a hump on their back to store fat. See this picture. The camel has a long eyelash. See, camel has a long eyelash which product from sand to reach its eye in a sandstone. Next one, hump. That one is store fat. That one stores fat in it. Long leg. That one long leg. That one stay away from a heat of the sand. That helps to stay away camel from the heat of the sand. Next one, feet with thick pads. Feet with thick pads which protect it from the hot desert sand. These are the main adaptation in a camel. Students, what happens to desert animals like rat and snakes which do not have long legs like a camel? Do you have any idea about this one? These animals stay in burrows deep in the sand. These animals stay in burrows deep in the sand to keep away from the intense heat during the day. These animals stay in burrows deep in the sand to keep away from the heat during the day. They come out during the night when it's cooler. They come out only during the night when it's cooler. In daytimes, stay in burrows deep in the sand. In a daytimes, these animals stay in burrows deep in the sand to keep away from the heat. To keep away from the heat. Rats and snakes burrow under the sand during daytime to stay away from the heat. They restrict their movement during the day and hunt for prey during the night time. So, they restrict their movement during the daytime and it hunt their prey during the night. Desert animals are adapted to be active during early morning and late evening. Desert animals are adapted to be active during early morning and late evening when the temperature is moderate, and they rest during the day when it is the hottest. They take rest during the day when it is hottest. These animals have less fur and very little body fat. These kind of animals have less fur and very little body fat, which allows them to lose heat through their skin surface. This one helps them to lose heat through their skin surface. Rats and snakes burrow under the sand during daytime to stay away from heat. These kind of desert animals avoid movement during the day and hunt for prey during the night. Desert animals are adapted to be active during early morning. They are active during early morning and late evening when the temperature is moderate. They rest during the day when it is hottest. Desert animals have less fur and very little body fat. Desert animals have less fur and very little body fat. This one helps them to lose heat through their skin surface. This less fur and very little body fat help them to lose heat through their skin surface. See this picture. This one is a desert rat. This one is a desert rat. This one also called kangaroo rat. This one also called as a kangaroo rat. Desert rat has very short upper leg. See their front leg. This one is a very short leg and very long hind legs and hops like a kangaroo. Lives in underground deep burrows in sand where temperature is lower and soil is moist. This one lives in under deep burrows in sand where temperature is lower and soil is moist. It's very active at night. So which are the animals are active at night? We call it as a nocturnal animals. Which are the animals active at night? We are call it as a nocturnal animals. Why it is active at night? Because when the temperature is low, at the time these are very active. So it's very active at night. Nights are cooler in desert. Compared with the daytime, nights are cooler in desert. This one conserves water by excreting high concentrated urine. This one is a desert rat. This is also called as a kangaroo rat. It's live deep burrows in sand where temperature is lower and soil is moist. It's very active at night. Which are the animals active at night? We call it as a nocturnal animals. Why these all are active at night? Because the temperature is low in night time. Nights are cooler in desert. Nights are cooler in desert. This one conserve water by excreting high concentrated urine. This one conserves water by excreting high concentrated urine. And this desert rat has very short upper legs. Very short upper legs and very long hind legs. Very short upper legs and very long hind legs. And hops like a kangaroo. That's why this one we call it as a kangaroo rat. Because it hops like a kangaroo. Desert rats also called kangaroo rat. Next one, mountain habitats and polar region. Mountain habitats and polar regions. Mountain habitats have very low temperature and are cold and windy. Mountain habitats have very low temperatures and are cold and windy. Many places have snowfalls in winters. Many places have snowfalls in winters and some may be covered with snow for many months. Polar regions are on the extreme north or south of Earth and are covered with snow for most of the year. Polar regions are on the extreme north or south of Earth and are covered with snow for most of the year. Mountain regions are spread over a large area and can range from valley to rock slopes to very high mountain slot. Mountain regions can be recognized by tall fir trees and cone-shaped pine trees with sloping branches. Adaptation in plants. Adaptation in plants. Plants are cone-shaped with sloping branches. See this picture. These plants are cone-shaped with sloping branches which help rainwater and snow to slide off easily. This cone-shaped with sloping branches helps rainwater and snow to slide off easily. This cone-shaped and with sloping branches helps rainwater and snow to slide off easily. They have needle-like leaves which help them to give a cone-like shape. The trees which are grown in mountain region, they have a needle-like leaves. They have a needle-like leaves which helps them to give a cone-like shape. Which help them to give a cone-like shape. They shed off their leaves during winters when it snows and reduce their activity. When it snows and reduce their activity. Mostly these kind of plants shed off their leaves during winter when it snows and reduce their activity. They become green with leaves and have flower during summers. They become green with leaves and have flowers during summer. When the temperature becomes favorable, plants are cone shaped with sloping branches which help rainwater and snow to slide off easily. They have needle-like leaves which help them to give a cone-like structure or shape. They mostly shed their leaves during winters when it snows and reduce their activity, and it's become green with leaves and have flower during summers when the temperature become favorable. Next one, adaptation in animals. Different types of animals are found in different regions of mountains. For example, snow leopard, yak and polar bear are found at very high mountain regions. Different types of animals are found in different regions of mountains. For example, snow leopard, yak and polar bear are found at very high mountain regions and poles where the place remains covered with 0 degree. But mountain goat, sheep, mountain cow and buffaloes are found in lesser mountain height with rocky slopes and moderate temperature and lesser cold. Snow leopard, yak and polar bear are found at very high mountain region and poles where the place remains covered with snow for most of the year and the temperature are below 0 degree. But mountain goat, sheep, cow, buffalo are found in lesser mountain height with rocky slopes and moderate temperature. Snow leopards and polar bears. They have thick fur on their body. Polar bear and snow leopards have thick fur on their body to give warmth and protection from cold temperature. Polar bear and snow leopard have thick fur on their body to give warmth and protection from cold temperature. White skin color help to hide in snow as it is merged with snow color. Snow leopard and polar bear have white skin color. This white skin color helps to hide in snow as it is merged with snow color. Have thick padded feet. They have thick padded feet with thick fur to walk on snow. With thick fur to walk on snow. Snow leopards and polar bears have thick fur on their body to give warmth and protection for cold temperature. They have thick fur on their body to give warmth and protection from cold temperature. White skin color help to hide in snow as it merge with snow color. Animals that have thick fur survive well in the polar habitats. Animals live in these habitats need to compete for food, protect themselves from predators and breed. Polar bear, Arctic foxes and penguins have body structure that help them to survive in these habitats. Polar bears have two thick layers of fur on their body. Polar bears have two thick layers of fur on their body and a layer of fat under the skin and have the layer of fat under the skin. They are well insulated and move slowly and rest often to avoid getting overheated. They are well insulated and move slowly and rest often to avoid getting overheated. Penguins also live in mountain region and polar region. Penguins have a thick skin and a lot of fat to protect their body from the cold. Penguins have a thick skin and a lot of fat to protect their body from the cold. Penguins have a layer of oily waterproof feather. Penguins have a layer of oily and waterproof feathers. They also have a thick layer of fat under the skin which regulate their body temperature. They also stay in group to keep themselves warm. Penguins have a layer of oily waterproof feather. They also have a thick layer of fat under the skin which regulate their body temperature. They also stay in groups to keep themselves warm. Penguins' bodies are streamlined and they have webbed feet, make them good swimmer. Next one, yak and mountain goat. These have thick, long hair that cover its body. These have thick, long hair that cover its body. They give warmth and protection from cold. They give warmth and protection from cold. Yak on mountain habitats also have thick skin or fur used to protect themselves from cold. Mountain goat have strong hooves which help them to climb rocky slopes of mountain. Mountain goats have strong hooves which help them to climb rocky slopes of mountains. Animals which are live in mountain and polar region have thick fur on their body to give warmth and protection from cold temperature. White skin color help to hide in snow as it is merged with snow color. They have thick padded feet with thick fur to walk on snow. They have thick padded feet with thick fur to walk on snow. To survive in very cold environment, animals go into a psychological inactive state called hibernation or winter sleep. Hibernation or winter sleep to conserve their energy. During this time, that means during the hibernation, they lie motionless and do not move or feed. Their respiration, heart heat rate and body metabolism become very low. During the hibernation, they lie motionless and do not move or feed. Their respiration, heart heat rate and body metabolism become very low. They come out of hibernation on return of favorable warm condition. They come out of hibernation on return of favorable warm condition. Okay students, read these topics in your NCERT book. We will see remaining topics in our next class. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.